From the Cronkite studios in downtown Phoenix, this is Cronkite News.
Good evening and welcome to this special edition of Cronkite News on Arizona PBS. I'm Matthew Roy. Thank you for joining us. Tonight we take a look back at the stories from our politics team. From efforts to get a national debate in Phoenix to how specially outfitted vehicles will help in the census count.
With election year 2020 right around the corner, the Democratic debates promise to bring the heat. And what better location than the Valley of the Sun? Cronkite News reporter Frankie McClister spoke today with Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego, who told us what she's doing to make sure Phoenix is on the list of possible debate locations. Frankie?
Well, Mayor Kate Gallego says although the Democratic National Committee hasn't made any final decisions yet, they're taking a very hard look at the state of Arizona.
I believe the Democratic nominee will have to win Maricopa County to move forward. The path to the presidency goes through Phoenix, and what better place to have a debate than this community?
Which is exactly why Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego is pitching the city of Phoenix as a potential site for one of the upcoming Democratic debates.
I have asked the Democratic National Committee to host a presidential primary debate in the city of Phoenix. We are the fastest growing city in the country, and I think we're the perfect place to host a debate.
Gallego says Phoenix is an innovative city and has the infrastructure to host an event like a Democratic debate. She also says that the state's diverse population, including its tribal communities, makes it a necessary stop for those candidates.
They feel like they've not been highlighted in presidential debates so far. What better state than Arizona to have a debate that talks about issues that matter to our tribal partners?
Matt Grodzki, the director of communications for the Arizona Democratic Party, says he's excited about the idea of Phoenix potentially hosting a debate, adding it'll be a busy year for his office.
So we've had conversations with Chairman Tom Perez, who's the chair of the DNC, and he said, hey, I love Arizona. He genuinely really appreciates the state, so the decision's really up to him.
According to Gallego, the Democratic National Committee hosts debates in partnerships with television stations and news agencies. Depending on the issues debated, that can also factor in on choosing locations.
We think with our growing innovative economy that we could really be a great place to have important discussions about policy issues that haven't been covered yet.
Well, the next two Democratic primary debates are scheduled to take place both in California and in Georgia, but there are 6 additional ones scheduled for 2020. Locations for those are still to be determined. Right here in the studio, Frankie McClister, Cronkite News.
The Arizona Republican Party cancels its 2020 presidential preference election.
The GOP chairwoman says she'll let the Secretary of State know who the nominee is. Cronkite News reporter Mariah Gallegos spoke with a political expert about this decision.
Arizona is one of 4 states that have canceled the Republican presidential preference election. I talked to one political expert about the reasons behind this decision.
Trump will be isolated from any kind of negative feedback loops within the Republican Party.
CU political science professor David Wells says the move protects the president from those more moderate Republicans. But the Arizona Republican Party says it's a cost-saving move. Cronkite News received this statement from the Arizona Republican Party chairwoman, Dr. Kelly Ward. Arizonans are excited and energized to send President Trump back to the White House for 4 more years. This president's list of accomplishments in his first term are unprecedented. From jobs to securing our border to taking care of our veterans to making healthcare more affordable, and Arizonans have directly benefited. By opting out of the presidential preference election, our United Republican Party of Arizona will save taxpayers millions as we look ahead to the general election on November 3rd.
But you should never think about elections about saving money. Elections are about representative democracy, and they're a really critical part of how people participate in it. So it's a really lame argument to talk about this as a reason as you're saving money. They're trying to protect Donald Trump.
And party moves like this one to support the incumbent aren't new. In 1996 and 2012, Democrats opted out of preference elections with Bill Clinton and Barack Obama. And in 2004, Republicans did the same with George W. Bush. Arizona would be joining South Carolina, Nevada, and Kansas, who have decided to cancel its presidential primaries next year. Dr. Ward delivered the letter canceling the election to Secretary of State Katie Hobbs this morning. In the Broadcast Center, Mariah Gallegos, Cronkite News.
With primary elections coming up in March, one organization is focused on breaking down the barriers people may face during the voting process. Reporter Andrew Christensen was at Arizonans for Fair Elections launch event to find out how they hope to make voting more accessible to everyone. Andrew?
I was at the Arizona State Capitol where Arizonans for Fair Elections launched a ballot initiative that would take out the influence of money in politics and prioritize voters rather than lobbyists. People in bluish, green, and yellow shirts gathered at the state capitol to launch Arizonans for Fair Elections, a group that hopes to make voting an easier process for disenfranchised groups.
At the state legislature over the last several years is that there has been a coordinated attempt to stop people from actually having access to the ballot box. We know here in this state and in this country, fairness to elections has always been at the forefront of democracy.
But for some, voting has been a part of tradition. They feel it is a right that is not accessible to everyone.
It's taught to me from a very young age that I have to be involved because our ancestors died and bled for my ability to be able to cast my vote because I'm an eligible voter in the United States of America.
The group claims that many in rural areas don't have access to internet or transportation in order to register to vote or make it to the polls. However, the group did not present any specific measures they would take to help those people gain access to internet or transportation. Another one of their main points, people don't have time for the voting process.
My families and many Arizona families who work minimum wage jobs don't have the time to register to vote, or this task is seen as a very difficult and tedious thing because it's not a priority.
Arizonans for Fair Elections' first order of business, introducing a ballot measure that would ban politicians from receiving gifts from special interest groups or individuals. The ballot would also require election officials to update voter registration information and allow automatic registration.
We're talking about boosting clean elections, ending some of the, and hopefully all of the abuses of the lobbying and influence process, and making voting easier for all Arizonans.
Some members believe an easier voting process is essential to the next generation.
I take my grandsons with me to vote because it's so important that they know the value of their vote.
The proposed ballot initiative needs over 200,000 signatures by July 2nd to make it onto the ballot. In the First Amendment Forum, Andrew Christensen, Cronkite News.
Vice President Mike Pence is visiting Arizona and taking credit for job growth among the Hispanic population.
He took part in a roundtable with Hispanic leaders and other Republican officials. Reporter Andrew Christensen was at the meeting. Andrew?
The vice president was joined by Senator Martha McSally and Governor Doug Ducey to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. His message, the economy is booming, and as a result, Hispanic businesses here in Arizona are growing. A roundtable event with Hispanic leaders at First Baptist Church of Scottsdale began with Mike Pence acknowledging the economic contributions that Hispanic Americans have brought to Arizona.
This is a particularly exciting time for Hispanic Americans because thanks to the leadership of President Trump and our strong allies in the Congress, where we've cut taxes, rolled back regulation on businesses large and small, where we've been able to expand access to American energy. We've launched an energy renaissance.
Governor Doug Ducey talked about our population growth.
Arizona can brag as one of the fastest growing states in the nation. Maricopa County is the fastest growing county in the country. This is 3 years running, and Phoenix was just named the fastest growing city in the country.
Republican Senator Martha McSally followed up by saying that she is particularly proud of the growing number of female Hispanic entrepreneurs.
We are a very diverse state, and I've been spending my whole life fighting stereotypes, making generalizations about, groups of people, but the numbers certainly speak for themselves.
When Pence was asked about the Trump administration's tactics to win over Hispanic voters in 2020, he said that they hope to remind them about the amount of jobs Trump has created and near historic low unemployment rate.
Hispanic Americans here in Arizona are winning under the policies of President Trump and the policies that Senator Martha McSally has supported and Governor Ducey has advanced in the state. Our economy is growing, our military is stronger than ever before.
Business leaders in attendance also seemed to favor Pence's message.
We felt very heard. We felt that we could express our concerns and also, make requests.
Pence's message before leaving spoke to Hispanic heritage.
Values that this administration has stood for, of faith and family and the sanctity of life and freedom. Those are all values that are synonymous with the Hispanic American community.
After this event, Vice President Pence is headed to Tucson for a speech on the U.S.-Mexico-Canada trade agreement and then headed back to D.C. But he says this won't be his last visit here. He plans on spending a lot of time in Arizona. In the broadcast center, Andrew Christensen, Cronkite News.
Arizonans are also weighing in on whether or not they think Trump should stay in office.
Cronkite News reporter Mariah Gallegos visited OH Predictive Insights to learn more about a recent poll conducted in the state. Mariah?
Although recent analytics have proved that Arizona is a swing state for the upcoming elections, a new poll taken shows that Arizonans are not happy with the job President Trump is doing, but they don't want him removed from office.
When it comes to the topic of impeachment, actually, Arizonans are overall against impeachment when it comes to the president.
Mike Noble with OH Predictive Insights says his team sampled 900 registered voters statewide, and the results show more Arizonans disapprove of Trump, but fewer actually want him removed from office. Trump's combined approval rating is at 46%. 50% disapprove of the job he's doing. When it comes to impeachment, views are split along party lines. Democrats strongly believe Trump should be impeached. Republicans strongly believe he should stay in office. But when it comes to independent voters, 39% believe he should be removed, and 46% think he should remain in office.
When it comes to the all-important independent voters, those swingy voters in the middle, they don't like Trump. However, when it comes to impeachment, they are actually more against it than actually for it.
And with elections around the corner, he believes the independent voters are questioning if the impeachment is worth it.
Elections is the ultimate way for voters to cast an opinion. And so right now, based on Trump's job approval, even with the economy doing incredibly well, he's underwater. However, when it comes to the line of impeachment, again, I don't think voters are quite there to saying he has crossed that line.
Noble said they will be following up with the recent poll, and they have already formed the next set of questions for the impeachment inquiries.
Even as the House takes the day off from impeachment hearings, people are speaking out about what they think should be done.
Protesters gathered on Mill Avenue last night demanding Arizona's Congress members to support Donald Trump's removal from office.
Cronkite News reporter Delaney White was there and joins us live now with more information about the event. Delaney?
People from across the valley came out to protest for different reasons. Some wanted to get the attention of Arizona senators, while others just wanted their voice to be heard by other members of the community.
I'm out here because I'm concerned that our democracy is in trouble, and I'm hopeful that people will pay attention and realize that we need to get Trump out of office in order to protect our democracy.
Protesters gathered in Tempe to get the attention of Arizona representatives in Congress, demanding that they support the impeachment of President Donald Trump.
By being here tonight, I hope that our representatives can see that there are a lot of young people who really care about this country, and if something isn't done to get him out of office, then I'm scared for my future, I'm scared for everyone else's, and I really think that we need to step up and make sure that he is taken out of presidency.
One of the younger protesters had a message for Republican Senator Martha McSally and Democrat Kyrsten Sinema about what she thinks needs to be done.
But definitely McSally. She needs to step up, and also Sinema needs to use her voice, because in my district, I haven't heard her even supporting anything, so I want to hear from both of them. I'm hoping that this rally can at least show something that we really do want them to speak up, and we want them to, give us the opportunity to actually have our voice be heard and what the public wants.
And some protesters had a different goal for the evening.
Maybe wake up a few people. It's not probably going to make a
world of difference or anything, but at least there'll be more people that'll be more, a little bit informed maybe, or pay attention maybe to what's going on.
And Move On members are already planning events that will take place the night before the House votes on the articles of impeachment. In Phoenix, Delaney White, Cronkite News.
Our big story tonight, pedestrian deaths are the highest they've been since 1990. According to federal statistics, nearly 50,000 people have died on U.S. roads since 2009.
The reasons vary. Some blame cell phones and distracted driving, while others say sprawling cities and wide roads are the bigger culprits.
Reporter Andrew Christensen found out how the city of Phoenix plans to use $2 million to curb this deadly problem. Andrew?
I spoke with the Phoenix Street Transportation Department in order to find out how they're updating crosswalks in order to make the streets safer. You may recognize the familiar beeping from crosswalk signals. Now, the Phoenix City Council unanimously approved $2 million to update the signs at crosswalks and make other improvements to decrease pedestrian deaths. According to the City Council, there were more than 100 pedestrians killed on roads in 2018.
Pedestrians will see are 4 new hawk signals, upgraded crossings, upgraded crosswalks, and they will see increased street lighting.
HAWK stands for High Intensity Activated Crosswalk, which features a blinking yellow light indicating to a driver to slow down because a person has pushed the button. HAWK crosswalks also include a blinking red light, which tells drivers to stop first, then proceed with caution if no people are present.
High visibility crosswalks are the ones that look like a ladder painted on the street. They are painted with reflective paint, so it gives motorists an idea, kind of a heads up that, oh, I better be looking for pedestrians around here.
The Phoenix City Council also recognizes that some pedestrians may not wait to cross and have a plan to study why.
It's how we design our roads and our crossings. Education to help people be safe and be alert and be aware of what the rules of the road are.
The city of Phoenix is having a luncheon later this month, which will feature a pedestrian safety coloring book, which is aimed at 3rd through 6th graders. It will also be featured in Spanish and will be online on their website. In Phoenix, Andrew Christensen, Cronkite News.
Turning violence and survival into empowerment. This was one of the main takeaways from an event held this morning in Chandler.
Every 3 days, someone dies as a result of domestic violence in our state. Cronkite News reporter Isabella Holsizer attended an event that shed light on this issue.
For the past 11 years, the City of Chandler Domestic Violence Commission has held an event to share stories from survivors and to raise awareness on the resources that are available to the community. It's their kickoff to Domestic Violence Awareness Month. This year's theme was Survivors and Animals Living Safely. In attendance were members of organizations who help, survivors, and emotional support animals. The reason the Commission puts on this event is to kick off Domestic Violence Awareness Month and to put resources in the hands of the community.
To be able to find the resources that they need to make sure that they're safe, their kids are safe, and that their pets are safe.
1 in every 4 women will experience domestic violence in her lifetime. Jacqueline Wilson was one of those women, but has turned her experience into empowerment.
I just have a passion to just help and to get people out of those relationships.
The event brought out some emotion and passion from members of the community.
Listening to survivors speak and, their experience is amazing. So that's the most fulfilling thing, to see how strong people truly are, and we don't give them enough credit for it. So yeah.
To show support, October 24th is National Wear Purple Day in honor of survivors of domestic violence. If you or a loved one is experiencing domestic violence, officials urge you to get in contact with an organization for help. In the Broadcast Center, Isabella Holsizer, Cronkite News.
Tonight, we're diving into child foster care in Arizona to see how some people are jumping at the chance to remedy problems in the system.
Those from the outside and the inside, our government are looking to get involved.
A new program between the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office and the federal government could provide much needed help for teenagers who are about to age out of foster care.
Cronkite News reporter Ellie Nakamoto White is live at the Cronkite News digital desk to explain how it works. Ellie?
The idea is to make the transition for these teens much smoother as they go from living in foster care to living on their own. Officials say that for some, the first step to being a successful adult is to have a stable living environment.
I guess within the foster care system, we don't see each other as peers, but as more as family, since that's what we had to work with.
20-year-old Angel Martinez has been in Arizona's foster care system since he was 14. He calls himself one of the fortunate ones.
Luckily, I was one of the lucky kiddos to go and get into the foster system, since I was one of the few that actually got into a good group home.
And that can be critical for foster youth like Martinez. The Arizona Department of Child Safety reported in August of 2019 there were roughly 874 foster care children between the ages of 18 to 21. However, those who work with these young adults say that number can get even higher.
In Arizona, we have about 950 young people each year that transition out of foster care over the age of 18 who do not have a permanent family.
When kids turn 18, they either have an option to stay in the system on a voluntary basis or leave.
But we know right now at least 50% of the 950 youth that are leaving foster care leave, right at age 18 because they're tired of the system, they're tired of adults telling them what to do all the time, but they really they might not have the skills and opportunities that they need to be stable as an adult.
This can lead to many of them walking away without a permanent home.
And we know that generally in the nation and in Arizona, about 1 in 4 youth who transition out of foster care experience homelessness.
Beth Rosenberg says there is a solution through this new program.
We are going to give you housing vouchers, Sheriff's Office. Now our next step is to figure out how to get that out to youth.
The process for this initiative is to work with the housing authorities to make sure that they apply.
Ishan Peterson was in foster care herself and knows how difficult it can be to transition out of the system. That's why she started Onward Hope, a nonprofit child welfare agency that is partnering on the Housing Vouchers program.
A lot of people don't like to rent to young folks, but this is a population who is resilient and who have grown and who are wanting to work on themselves and be productive citizens.
For those like Martinez, new programs like these will hopefully serve as lifelines to a better future.
To see that the youth, the younger heads that looked up to me within the group home probably as an older sibling, it's good and comforting to see that, okay, cool, now that they have that extra footing for them for as they leave or age out.
Phoenix voters sent a clear message late last month. They want light rail to expand in their city. Cronkite News reporter Melanie Porter spoke with city officials about how the light rail will change the landscape of Phoenix.
3 light rail extensions would have been halted if Proposition 105 had passed. That didn't happen, so planning and construction can move forward.
We'll be building it to the south, to the west, to the north. So instead of having just one single line as we do today, we will have multiple lines coming together at a great hub in our downtown.
Valley Metro's CEO Scott Smith sees these extensions as an essential project that will only help Phoenix grow.
People don't realize that we're going to add almost 2 million people in the next 12 to 15 years. That's a lot of people. And they've all got to travel on the same streets we have right now. Where it's not like we're going to do double the number of streets. We're not going to really increase the number of streets.
But he understands the hesitancy from some community members.
We're part of the merchants. And I know we didn't want it, but it passed. But the thing is, you're going to destroy our businesses.
Activists argue the construction and roadblocks will discourage people from visiting shops and restaurants in the path of the light rail extension projects. Phoenix is trying to help by hosting planning meetings with community members and letting them map where they think future development should go.
Those maps eventually get into a document that is adopted by the Phoenix City Council. And then that map and that policy plan helps shape the guidance that we give private developers as they come in.
But some business owners and activists in South Phoenix don't believe this is enough to help them stay financially afloat during construction.
They have the money to compensate for the losses. Now, that's a message that we have to send out.
Mayor Kate Gallego recognizes these concerns.
We will continue to have dialogue about it. There are certainly people in this community and our country who don't support mass transportation.
But she believes Proposition 105's defeat sends a strong message of where voters want the city to go. In Phoenix, Melanie Porter, Cronkite News.
An accurate count in the upcoming census means more money for cities. The city of Phoenix is working with 2 companies on a digital effort that will help reach areas that are typically undercounted. Cronkite News reporter Delaney White explains the iCount 2020 campaign.
The city of Phoenix partnered with Cisco and Microsoft to create these mobile sign-up stations. I'll show you how they work. A key part of the iCount 2020 campaign is repurposed vehicles that contain digital technology from Microsoft and Cisco to help citizens participate in the census next year.
So today we're launching our City of Phoenix 2020 census campaign, and we're highlighting our census outreach vehicles. And the key part with the vehicles is really allowing us an innovative approach to be able to be out in the community, interact with them face to face, as well as be able to bring education and awareness about the importance of the census.
Phoenix Mayor Kate Gallego spoke about the digital divide and what her city is doing to fix the problem.
We know that there's been exciting connections with the digital world, but there's still a digital divide. Not everyone has access or is comfortable using the internet. The city is working to minimize this divide. We are exploring all the options we have to put city resources to work to provide internet access to those who need it.
The vehicles will also contain technology to assist citizens with accessing information about the census.
We actually have tablets inside there which give you direct access to our local regional census website, which is a hub that has all kinds of important information about the census. Why is it important? What are the impacts? Questions about privacy, how is your information being used? So we have all of that information available on the tablets.
That's it for this special edition of Cronkite News. Thank you for joining us. For the top Arizona stories anytime, go to cronkitenews.azpbs.org.